clapping for the person. Is she in this room? Thank you so very much. I'm humbled to be here. And I'm sorry I should have come earlier and participate. It's always nice when you're the one asking the question, not answering the question. So let me start with our moderator, the chairperson, the leadership of the annual SAFE Symposium, distinguished government officials that are here present, distinguished leaders of the not-for-profit organizations here present, distinguished community leaders, guests, and other high-profile personalities here. I would have to acknowledge Madam Nicole Stanley. Did I get that right? Starling. I am hungry. She has given me so much food now I can't pronounce. Nicole Stanley. And of course, I want to also recognize the presence of Mr. Jonathan, which I believe you all know. Everybody here, the media, good afternoon to you all. I'm very happy to join such an esteemed, diverse group put together by Sephora and other leading youth and non-profit organizations for a conversation on issues of common concern to us all. Child sexual abuse. Our coming together today in this annual SAFE Symposium is another way of showing our resolve, dedication, and commitment to tackling one of the greatest challenges of our time, child sexual abuse, and its related appendix in exploitation and violence. This issue is very familiar and challenging to me as I have personally and professionally experiences. The issue of child sexual abuse is rampant and takes many forms. It does not distinguish between developed and undeveloped country, poor or rich, colors or race, black, red, brown, white, whatever color we are, and the form is where you see variation and differences. In poor country, child protection is often complicated by issues of survivors and livelihood, luring children and enticing the kids and their family with resources. In developed society, there are pedophiles whose only pleasure is to carry out sexual abuse on children. Technological advancement has also come along with its appendixes in the digital space. The online ecosystem is getting very sophisticated and challenging for law enforcement agencies. The fundamental outcome from these horrific episodes leaves the child with that everlasting pain, emotional damage, trauma, neglect, loss of self-esteem, and damage to their future. This is the underlying motivation and drive for non-profit organizations and other state actors of intervening. As difficult and monumental as the task involved, we have a great number of non-for-profit and other bodies working tirelessly to ensure the issue does not only get out of hands, but it is curtailed and eradicated. The high number of non-profit, state actors, and others in this event is a testament. Prior to becoming the First Lady in 2018, there was a prevalence of sexual and gender-based violence, especially rape, in our country's Sierra Leone. The airwaves were filled with reports and discussions of the prevailing menace. Kids as little as 6 months old were not spared. It was therefore very simple for me to adopt a strategy that was very aggressive, and I was very unapologetic about my strategy. We engaged with the non-profit organization at local and international levels that were working on the issues and presented our campaign. Even the carnage of the campaign, the hands of our girls, was considered by many as harsh and not something other donors and partners would want to associate with. I resisted all suggestions of moderation and held on firmly to it. It is a common and wise saying that extraordinary situation requires extraordinary measures. Luckily for me, my husband supported my approach and even introduced policies and legislations that sent a very strong message to perpetrators. The first thing my husband did, he started by loving me. And then in 2018, he declared a state of emergency on rape to give momentum to the 𝐂𝐞𝐧'𝐬 campaign. In 2019, he amended the Sexual Offences Act of 2012 to address the lacunas that perpetrators use as escape routes. He then established the establishment of a standalone Gender and Children's Affairs Ministry from the Ministry of Social Welfare. Before now, the Ministry of Social Welfare was also responsible for children's affairs. My husband decided that for a situation as important as children, they should have a standalone ministry that will focus on the welfare of children. He then established the Sexual Offences Model Court, which is the specialized division of the High Court of Sierra Leone to expedite sexual and gender-based violence matters. So when victims come to court, they feel safe and they feel protected, and their cases are dealt with speed. He enacted the landmark and progressive law of gender equality and women's empowerment in 2022. This law symbolized a significant step towards promoting equality and inclusivity in our nation. Today we can proudly say in Sierra Leone, 30% of all elective positions are held by a woman, 38% of all appointed positions, which the president has to sign, ministers, deputy ministers, ambassadors, high commissioners all over the world, and now the positions are held by a woman. The 𝐂𝐞𝐧'𝐬 campaign inspired and motivated us to go to the United Nations and convince the global body to adopt 2 resolutions: access to justice for rape victims and a UN World Day, November 18, for the prevention of and healing from child sexual exploitation, abuse and violence. The enactment of the Abolition of Child Marriage Act of 2024, which I recently spearheaded and championed for the protection of children, especially girls, is an icing on the cake for my 𝐂𝐞𝐧'𝐬 campaign. Our efforts and accompanying successes did not happen in isolation. We crafted a SATI pathway and adopted some of the strategies that have provided us some remarkable successes. Since one of the key purposes of holding this safe symposium annually is finding strategy that will yield better results, the protection and safety of children against sexual abuse, as part of my contribution to this conversation, I would suggest the following to be considered by this year's SAFE Symposium. First, the recognition of the role and appreciation of the contribution of all actors as partners is the beginning of starting a long journey of working together. You are not rivals working to edge others out so that they can take all the praises by trying all the tricks to outsmart one another. You are working as partners, so you support one another. The public, as well as victims and survivors, see you as members of an army on the same side of the battlefield. This means, irrespective of our individual identity, you are all different faces of the same coin and therefore should promote each other's interventions. Secondly, take fear out of your planning. It is good to recognize risk, which often are perceived. The task at hand compels you not to hesitate and never be afraid to dare for fear of failure due to the complexity, limited resources, stepping on toes, and other anxiety, but rather be motivated by the drive to first for alleviating the sufferings of vulnerable members of the society who are helpless, voiceless, and incapacitated. My third suggestion is that you are the trustee who serve as the anchor of support for the children and moral guarantors for resources provided by donors and supporters. Therefore, you must at all times exhibit and demonstrate the highest ethical standard and principles of honesty, integrity, transparency, and accountability. You also need to be mindful and have it at the back of our mind is that to build confidence and to gain the trust of children, you must not compromise those ethical standards. The fourth suggestion I would recommend to you is that you need to promote and amplify the achievement of your constituency. Nobody is going to market you but yourself. You can do this by setting aside some period within the year to recognize your membership and record all the successes by non-profit organizations, which will serve as a benchmark for setting up your next target. The fifth and very critical one is that I encourage you to move out of your comfort zone by shifting from doing things the old ways, which has not produced your desired result or take you where you want to be. One sure way of going about this is by embracing innovation and technological advancement, especially the digital space. We are engulfed immense, and if not swallowed by it, this means there is need for deliberate investment in research so that we can understand the reason behind slow pace of progress in curbing violence against children, despite the huge effort and investment we have made and are still making in the process. My sixth is to reiterate that what you all know, you should build strong relationship through networking and sustainable partnership at local and international level. My sixth would be to please take communication and reporting very seriously at all levels for a variety of audience. The best practice with empirical data and information to help in monitoring, evaluating, and learning from what you have done in the past and what you are preoccupied with. Another suggestion I'll give is that you must ensure inclusivity and participation of all stakeholders in whatever you are doing. Leave no one behind in the spirit of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals should be our guidance. The final one, but certainly not the least, you must ensure that coordination is at the center of all our efforts with all actors at state and non-state levels, so that all your initiatives and interventions can be captured in the national development plans and sub-regional agendas. This will help streamline your collective effort and at the same time minimize duplications so that together maximum impact from our collective effort can be realized. My belief is that continuous engagement through platforms like this, where we relate, share experiences, and learning from each other as members of the non-profit communities. This is what should be the hallmark of your collective action. In addition, you can all agree with me that one of the best ways of intervening in child sexual abuse is the provision of safeguard for the well-being of children in our world today. We have from this moment begun a journey of coming together to relate and appreciate our various thoughts through conversation we have initiated and continue to have with one another. Taking that discussion beyond the confines of this event is what will strengthen our collaborations and eventually hatch innovative solutions to addressing child sexual abuse, but more importantly, guaranteeing a safe future for children irrespective of their geographical location. I must also warn you that resistance might appear in your way from within and outside, but should not stop you from doing what you ought and must do. At this juncture, I would like to register my thanks and appreciation to 𝐓𝐵𝐸𝐸 and the leading Utah non-profit organizations that are here for considering me to be part of this year's annual SAFE Symposium. and to deliver the keynote address. It is an honor, but at the same time, I feel very humbled by this recognition and the accompanying hospitality you have demonstrated towards me and my delegation. On behalf of the people of Sierra Leone and in my own name, I say thank you for treating their First Lady in this special way. I appreciate the Sterling Foundation and the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints for bringing me to Utah to meet and engage with the wonderful people from the state government, church leaders, and not-for-profit communities in this country. I thank you all for your kind attention, and may God continue to bless you and bless your effort. Thank you very much.